So check out what I got here. I have them individually opened up because I didn't print it out yet, unfortunately. So I just have it on my screen right there. See that? I just opened up the 3 different files, and I got it on my other screen right there so I can look at it. So before you open up your, or before you go ahead and print out your gargoyle, you'll just want to do this. Just go ahead and open them up and have it there to look at. You just want to get the size. And we're going to go through this together. We're better together. Where's the opening on this thing? All righty. So, half a bag of clay looks a little like this. All right? We're going to give you guys, we're 2 tubes folded over. I'm going to get rid of this other half. This is going to be for Ceramics 3, a project we're starting today, too. Oh, dude. I'm going to use a canvas board. You guys might not have one. That's cool. You don't have to have it. All right. So here you go. This is half the bag of clay. You guys are, I was talking to you guys yesterday about this, right? Hopefully you have this much left. It's, you know, extended, you know, but that's whatever. What I'm going to do is I can wedge this together, you know, go ahead and push it together like this. That's fine. I could also use the floor. I can't just start making a gargoyle with this piece like into 2 different pieces right here. I can also go ahead and do this. I'm going to put this board on the floor and I'm just going to drop it. All right. If you're feeling weak today, you know, this is like an easier way to do it. You just drop it. Some kids will even do this on just the plain cement floor in the studio. Not great for a couple of reasons. It can stick, especially if it's too wet. Then you'd get a knife, putty knife, and get it off. But otherwise, you want to make sure the floor is really clean too, because you don't want dirt and debris getting into the clay. But you don't necessarily need a canvas board to drop it on the floor. You just have to make sure the clay is not too bad. I mean, if it is pretty wet, you want to just try to wedge it. All right, here we go. So as you know, I'm looking at the screen over here. So the first thing that you need to try to do for this project is this. You remember, this is going to be out of 1 piece of clay. It's going to be made solid, right? I'm going to want to have some extra clay for this. So I'm going to go ahead, cut some off. All right, maybe this much. It'll be fine, because remember our size requirement is 8 inches. Right now, that's right. It's right there. It's actually 8 inches right there. So there'll be enough clay left over. So now what I'm doing, let me get a spin wheel, actually. Sorry, you don't have a spin wheel. It's not necessary, but it's better for, because I have different angles. I'm trying to show this. Maybe I should put that camera somewhere over here, actually. Yeah, I'll do that. So you're looking at more of what I'm seeing than what's in front of me. All right. This camera does look a lot better than the old one, right? So what I want to try to do, hell, I could even get this other screen in this shot, maybe. So I'm looking at the gargoyle picture over here. And what I want to try to get is the proportions right, all right? I want to try to round it a bit. So I'm just going to go like this. Remember that it comes up, so I want a vertical piece going up. I mean, it's not the pinch project. You can take clay off and reattach it. But just try to round out the edges a little bit. So I just want to, right now, I want to get, when I'm looking at the photograph, I want to see, okay, what's the closest proportions when I'm looking at the photograph of how vertical this is to how then wide and deep it is. That's the first thing you want to do. So when I'm looking at this right here, I want to try to discern as best as possible the proportions and what would be most accurate between the relationships of height, width, and depth. Okay, you know, don't sweat it. Don't go crazy if it seems a little difficult, because it's not, you know, no one's going to hold you to the exact proportions. All right, just try to get it as close as you can. Like right now, it's probably fine. I mean, I could just start with this. Actually, I think it looks pretty good, actually. All right, I mean, this is pretty good. Does it seem like this needs to be skinnier, though? As opposed to how tall it is and how wide it is. And you're looking at this. Does it need to be skinnier? Maybe then making it a little taller if I'm making it skinnier. Is it the same wide as it is deep? Kind of looks like it's pretty close. All right, that's why I picked this project to do for everybody. If you want to do this one, remember, you don't have to do this one because I think it's the most straightforward piece, being that it's pretty similar all the way around as far as the width and the depth. Okay. How are we all doing? Is anybody doing this with me? Nobody. How come nobody has their camera on today besides Jason? If you can put your camera on, that would be so awesome. It would be. But you're my shy class. All right. We've all met each other. We know each other from last year. I always have a handful of cameras on Ceramics 1. Come on. There's Kim's in the house. What's up, Kim? We're getting started on this. So basically, you'll just want to start off with a thick piece of clay like this. So remember, I already tore off this much clay I can use for doing extra work when I want to add some clay in. So now I want to try to decide whereabouts the head is. And now when I'm looking at this picture, how high is the head? Like when you look at the bottom of the chin, let's look at this picture right here. When you're looking at the bottom of the chin, is it coming halfway down? No. Is it coming just 1/3 of the way down? No, it's a little more than that. I think this picture here, the side view, shows it pretty well. If it was like halfway's around, well, we got to decide this too if we're going to build this thing on the bottom. I think I will do a little bit of a there in the bottom. Let's do that actually first. Let's do that actually first. I get a little bored. I think I would like to have this on a board so I don't have to be picking it up. All right. So I'm just going to go around the bottom right now. and try to define that little ridge right there. So go ahead. Remember, if you're having a little bit of like, how am I going to do this project, you should be just following along with me. And if you're not ready, like you don't have your clay out today or whatever, which I hope you do, just go ahead, and this is being recorded, right? When you got your clay ready and you got it out, just go back and watch today's video. So I'm not going to do as big as a podium as the one in the sculpture. Just going to do a little bit of a smaller one down here. I want to do this first just to make sure that including it in the overall proportions of the piece. Because if I start thinking about exactly where I'm going to be breaking this up, it would be off if I wasn't including this little bottom part. It's getting a little sloppy down here, but what have you. I can always clean it up later and correct it a little bit more later. Define it, develop it more later. So if the feet are coming in, if the feet are right about here, the toes are coming out right around here. The ankles might be right around, coming in right around there. Come in a little bit, because right now I'm taking a little clay out right here. Why? I'm going to say that the feet are going to come down on top of this podium right around there. So I'm looking at this right there. See how that comes in? Okay. All right, the knees are going to be around here. So where's my head going to be? Head's going to be right around. It moves forward a little bit here, so it's going to be right around here. Now you want to be careful about drawing on your piece because you're going to get stuck on the surface. But if I'm looking at this picture again, you see how the head slants back right there? Look how the head slants back. Now, if you think you're good in what you're doing, you don't have to try to follow along with me if I'm somehow like, you know, because we all think about things differently, right? All of our brains work differently. Maybe what I'm doing here is like throwing you off a little bit. I think you should listen, of course, and watch, but don't let it stop you if you think you've got a particular idea about how to go ahead with this. I mean, you can just go ahead and wing it. I just want you to make sure, and winging it is actually nothing wrong with that at all. Going ahead and trying to make this thing extremely scientific, if you will, sometimes makes it more difficult. All right. And so if you look right here, I'm just going to go ahead and just take a little clay right there. So my head's going to be right about there. All right. And so as you can see right away, I took a little clay out right there, because that's going to be where the ankles go in. And right here is right about where the arms are going to be across. Because look at where the hand is. That's right about halfway, right? So just leave a little clay along the outside edge right here for the hands, where they're clasped. And then start thinking about the head and how it lies over the top right there. Okay. I don't even know if I really want to even do much more than this today. So I know there's probably a lot of people who are still like, heck, I'm not even sure which gargoyle I want to do yet, even though I asked you guys to do that yesterday. Maybe I'll just stick a little of this clay. The clay that you take off, of course, is more clay that you can use. So maybe I'll just, you know, go ahead and stick a little bit over here to where I know that shoulder is probably going to have to come out a little bit more. Those shoulders are pretty high. Not as high as the back of the head, but pretty high. So I will take off maybe just a tiny bit right here and right here. All right. And so you see from the side view, I took off a little clay right here because that head does slope back, what I already pointed out in the slideshow. How we doing? So you just want to get a rough start like this. That's it. Rough start. Just very roughly cutting things up. I mean, just keep looking around it. And look at the back. Oh, my back is kind of straight up and down, which is not the case in the photo reference. Well, I know I'm going to have to change the slope of the head at some point. The top of the head ends right around here. And then it kind of moves down, rolls down, rounds out. I'll add a little bit of clay right back here. Don't worry about getting this perfect. It's not a big deal. You can keep adjusting this for a long time. What you're going to be doing for a good amount of time is just continue to readjust. I can't tell you how much of sculpting is about that. I think what happens when people just get too tightened up and unsure about things is because they think when they have to do something, they have to do it right the first time. Is you just go ahead and plow forward and just quit worrying about failing at it. If you're worried about failing at it, you're going to do really miserably. And that's why, you know, remember back in the pinch project where I insisted like for a week, at least week and a half, that you wedge it back up again and start over? I think that's why I think there's a lot of people that have so much success with the pinch project because of that. Is like, I expect you to fail so you can learn. All right, because you have to fail to be able to learn. You have to take chances. If you can't play it always, it's so safe. So when I insist that people start over, it gives them kind of like more confidence to like just go ahead and plow into it, because they're like, it's not going to matter anyway, right? I'm just going to wedge this all back up again. I want you to think of this that way, you know? Don't get all tightened up about what you're doing right here. Just go ahead and just wing it. And it's the same as the pinch project where, hey, you don't like it, go ahead and push it all back in. Readjust. It's not a big deal. You just go ahead and just continue to readjust it. It's all like trial and error, you know, trial and error. The bottom, this is the back. And if you look right here, you see how that comes in, that tapers in right there in the back. Like the hip bones comes in right there. I'll just do a little bit like that too. I'll just take a little bit of clay off right there. A little bit of clay off right there. You see already it almost looks like a couple of, I don't know if you can see. It looks like it could be like, here, I'll just go ahead and like, this could be a hip bone here, right? This could be a hip bone there, just to try to show it more. I'll make it come up a little bit more, take off a little clay there, a little clay there. Keep moving around it. And I know that those legs from the hip bone, this is in the back, all right, are going to come up here this way, right? And they're going to go up underneath the arms. I'm going to take some clay off right there too. I'm going to rearrange these hip bones a little bit. What's everybody doing? I got a lot. Look at all this clay. I got tons of clay that I've already taken off the project. And yeah, I don't think I'm going to do much more. I want to go slow. I don't know if that was slow or not. But let us again take a look. Have your photograph. Are you going to do this one, the one I'm going to be doing? It has different views, a little bit easier since it does have different views. All right. And you just have to always have it up. Try to get it printed out. Remember, those ones are now in the Google Classroom. They're there. You can go ahead and just access that. If you can't get a screenshot, if you're going to do a different one, you can't get a screenshot, please email me which slide you want me to email you. Okay? If it's kind of been problematic getting your own piece. But you got to get your reference. You got to get your reference locked in. Why is everybody popping out? Don't pop out yet. Let me give me my last little spiels here. Don't forget, before I start talking about something else. So basically, this is what we want to be right now. Everybody checking this out. I just went ahead and I put a little bit of this is where the little pedestal, it's a little piece of rock he's standing on. I just defined that a tiny, is it developed really well? No. Marky, where you going? Why are you people popping up? There's just a little bit of developed, just a tiny bit. And I left a little bit of clay, just a little bit above it, and just took out a little clay right here, because that's right where the ankles come in, right there. All right, right there. It's where the ankle. I just took out a little bit, left a little clay right here in the middle. All right, because that's where these arms are going to be, right there. The arms. And then I just kind of went around the head a little bit. The head's not the full width of the project, right? If you look over here, the shoulders are on the outside. So I just took a little bit off around the head, started slanting the head back a little bit because it is slanted back. You look at the picture, it's slanted back. We're using our observational skills, right? And then if you look at the hips on the back, see how it's tapered in a little bit? It goes thinner back there by the butt bones, right? So I just started going ahead and I took some clay out. Oops. Right here a little bit, all right? And just kind of like thinking about, I'll put them back in again. You know, hip bones right there and there. And just then kind of just took a little bit of clay out from right here to there, showing the legs going to come up underneath the arms right there. Okay? This is really fun. I mean, I can't tell you, this is insanely like observational. This is like you practicing seeing. You have to have patience. You have to be thoughtful with it. But it's all about seeing. So you just have to make sure that you are looking at it. If you're not paying attention to your reference like crazy well, then there's no way to do it. All right. So try to get here for now. Okay.